Hello friends, uh, welcome to another lecture. Okay, today's topic is going to be structure of human sperm. Okay, and we are going to actually study what are the different parts of the human sperm and what are the functions. Okay, so let's get started. Now before we start with the structure of the sperm, uh, let us revise a few concepts related to that. So first of all, uh, the human sperm is also called as the male gamete. Okay, so this is the symbol for males, so it is the male gamete, and since it is a male gamete, it is haploid. So what do you understand by the term haploid? Haploid means having half the number of total chromosomes. Alright, so the total chromosomes in the human body is 46. Alright, so that is called as the diploid number, and the number of chromosomes in the human sperm is 23, and that is called as the haploid number. Alright, diploid is denoted by 2n, haploid is denoted by n. Alright, so all the normal cells of the body, which are called as somatic cells, have diploid number of chromosomes, whereas haploid number of chromosomes is shown only by gametes, and gametes are sperm, that is the male gamete, and ovum, that is the female gamete. Alright, now each of these gametes has haploid number of chromosomes because during fertilization both these gametes unite and they form a structure called as the zygote, and this zygote has 46 chromosomes. Okay, so that is related to the introduction part. Okay, now let us actually study the structure of a sperm. Now the sperm structure is basically made up of three parts, or four parts I should say. The first, or the initial part, is called as the head. Alright, the head is made up of two main parts. The first part is called as the acrosome, and the second part is called as the nucleus. The second part of the sperm is called as the neck. It is a very small part made up of two centrioles. Alright, the third is called as the middle piece, so that is made up of mitochondria, which are spirally wound around something called as axial filament. Alright, and the last part of the sperm is called as the tail, which consists of cytoplasm surrounding the axial filament. Alright, so these are the four main parts: the head, the neck, the middle piece, and the tail, and all these parts together form the haploid male gamete called as the sperm. Okay, so now let us study the structure of the human sperm. Okay, so I'm going to sketch the human sperm. So the first part that I'm going to sketch is called as the head of the sperm. Alright, so this head basically has two parts. Okay, the uppermost portion is called as the acrosome. So this portion that I am shading over here in red or maroon color, that portion of the sperm is called as acrosome. So anybody knows what is the function of acrosome? Well, acrosome basically stores enzymes. For example, there is an enzyme called as hyaluronidase. So I will write down the name over here. So hyaluronidase is the enzyme that is stored in the acrosome. It helps the sperm to penetrate the ovum. So when this enzyme is secreted by the acrosome, it basically creates a pore inside the ovum so that the sperm can enter it. Okay, so now since you know what hyaluronidase is, we can actually erase that part. Okay, so now coming back to the structure of the sperm, the first part that I have drawn is the acrosome. It is present inside the head. Below the head is present a very important part of the sperm, that is called as the nucleus. Alright, so nucleus contains 23 chromosomes, and as I told you, the nucleus is basically a haploid. Okay, so that will fuse with the 23 chromosomes of the ovum and form a diploid zygote. Okay, so this part is called as the nucleus. Alright, into bracket I'll write down haploid. Now this small portion below the nucleus is called as the neck. Okay, so the neck is not seen properly, so it is a very small portion, and below the neck are present two structures. There are two centrioles which are present. Alright, so this is the anterior centriole. Okay, or it is also called as proximal centriole, and below that is present the distal centriole. Alright, so in the neck region two centrioles are present, the proximal and the distal centriole. So the proximal centriole basically helps in the division of the zygote. When the zygote is formed, this proximal centriole basically helps in the cleavage or the division of the zygote, whereas the distal centriole gives rise to a structure called as the axial filament. This axial filament continues from the neck up till the tail. Alright, so it kind of forms a backbone or the endoskeleton of the sperm. Alright, so this is the neck region where both the centrioles are present. Below the neck is present the region which is called as the middle piece. Alright, so this area cylindrical which I have sketched is called as the middle piece. Inside the middle piece is present the axial filament. So I'll draw the axial filament first. Alright, so this is the axial filament which I have drawn. Alright, and around the axial filament is present the mitochondrion. Now this mitochondrion is spirally wrapped around the axial filament. Are you understanding? So it is totally covering the axial filament. So can you tell me what is the use of this mitochondrion? Now as you all know, mitochondrion is the powerhouse of the cell. Alright, so the sperm needs energy to swim inside the female genital tract, so that energy is generated by the spirally wound mitochondria present in the middle piece. Alright, so this initial portion is called as the head, which consists of acrosome and nucleus. Then the neck, which is proximal centriole and distal centriole. Below the neck is present the middle piece, which has the axial filament wrapped around by mitochondria. So we will label this. Alright, so mitochondria into bracket spirally wound. Alright, and I think we should also label the axial filament, so we will do that. So the axial filament is given by the distal centriole. Alright. Now we come to the last part of the sperm, which is present below the middle piece, and that is called as the tail. Now the tail is a very thin region which is basically made up of axial filament, and it is surrounded by a thin layer of cytoplasm. So this structure that I am drawing here is nothing but cytoplasm which is surrounding the thin axial filament, as you can see. Alright, so that is called as the tail of the sperm. So as you can see, this structure here, I label the cytoplasm, alright, the axial filament complete. So this is the structure of a human sperm. Alright, so we will label the 4 different parts of the sperm. This initial part is called as the head. Alright, below that, the portion where the 2 centrioles are present is called as the neck. The head and neck are covered by an extra membrane called as the fibrillar sheath, which protects the sperms. Alright, below the neck, the remaining wide portion in which the mitochondrion is present is called as the middle piece. And finally, the thinnest portion of the sperm having the cytoplasm and the axial filament is called as the tail. So head, neck, middle piece and tail together form the sperm. Alright, so that is the structure of a human sperm. Once again, we'll just revise the function of all the different parts. The head consists of acrosome, which has enzymes like hyaluronidase which help the sperm to penetrate the ovum. Then the nucleus has 23 chromosomes, so it is haploid. Below the nucleus is present the neck region, which has proximal and distal centrioles. Proximal centriole helps in cleavage or division of the zygote. Distal centriole gives rise to the axial filament, which is present throughout the neck, middle piece and tail. It forms a kind of a cytoskeleton for the sperm. Then below the neck is present the middle piece, which has got spirally wound mitochondria wrapped around the axial filament. Mitochondria provide energy to the swimming sperm. And finally, below the middle piece is the tail, in which the axial filament is surrounded by thin strands of cytoplasm. Alright, this haploid sperm is finally going to combine with a haploid ovum, which is the female gamete, and together they are going to form a structure called as the zygote. Alright, so the zygote has 46 chromosomes, sperm has 23 chromosomes, ovum also has 23 chromosomes. This zygote is a single cell and it will undergo divisions, which is basically called as cleavage. So when the cleavage is formed, when the first zygote, which is one celled or single celled, undergoes the division, that division is helped by the proximal centriole. Alright, okay friends, so I hope you have understood the structure of the sperm. Okay, and thanks for listening patiently. Hope your concepts have been cleared.